Okay, we're holding on Daf Yomi Warriors. We are in the middle of the page. That's 18 B. Meir Eimer Amin Shleinet Macy. Okay, thank you. Lili Nishmas Baruch Ben Yisrael Hakayim Jeff Spadana. Learning that schus. Thank Hashem that we're able to learn every day. And should merit the basic English immediately. And Naftali will be here on Sunday still.
Oh, I wish. Not this Sunday.
Okay.
Until Sunday, or depends on when the movies show up. Yeah, they say they're coming at 7.
Right.
Where do you move to? Parkland. Oh. What the Coral Spring? Yeah. We would welcome visitors.
Yeah, we need people to come in person because Naftali is moving. Okay. The woman, when they administer the oath, she responds, Amen, Amen. Now, Reb Meir says, what does that mean? He says, Amen, that I haven't been defiled. She says, Amen, that I haven't been defiled. And Amen, that I won't be defiled. So the Gemara explains, Tanya was taught in a brisa, like Kisha Amar Reb Meir, Amen, Shlei Etmashim, Titma Mayim, Baitkim, Yashav. I think Dr. Stein understood this from yesterday. He understood it the way the Gemara is presenting it now. He says, how could when she didn't sin yet, what the Gemara's, Reb Meir's, the oath is taking away her free choice, that she's going to die now because she would have committed adultery later. She didn't even commit adultery yet. What does it say? That she's accepting the oath for what she's going to do, what she would have done? That's not what it means. Rather, what it means is that she takes an oath now, that if later on she ever commits adultery, the water like regurgitates and comes back up and chokes her.
My question at the end of the day yesterday is what happens if that doesn't happen? Like, commits adultery.
Right.
We spoke earlier about the water is not doing this.
Right. 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 So what Naftali was saying yesterday was that at a certain time in history they stopped doing Sota because it wasn't working. Now, why wasn't it working? I think the explanation is because it doesn't work if the husband committed adultery also. Now, since there could be possibilities when she's clearly guilty, but the water isn't working either. Why isn't it working? Well, there's a bunch of possibilities, but one of them is that the husband committed adultery. So because that's what it says, because it was so common, that's why they stopped. I think it's blaming the husband. That historical thing was blaming them.
A person would feel so guilty for not being honest. Remorseful.
But they die just because of the remorse. The water is not just. We're not viewing the water as a placebo. We're viewing the water that it's a real.
It doesn't work.
What if they're both playing around?
Well, maybe they should do this thing called divorce.
Oh, but something called open marriage. It became very popular. Each would fool around with permission. That's adults.
Is there are there statistics on that at all?
There's probably surveys. There is someone who made famous doing that.
I've heard this becoming vastly more common in secular society.
And are there statistics on that? Like how long those last? Okay. Ravashi has a question. Mal sheyasna adam al nesuin achreinim. What happened is that if she's going to commit adultery later on in this marriage, according to Reb Meir, she already accepted an oath on that, and she's going to choke or whatever is going to happen to when she commits adultery. Let's say, or not let's say, but can the husband also administer an oath? I don't know why he would bring this up, but he says, if I divorce you and then I remarry you, that I want you to take an oath now for that as well. I want you to accept on yourself on our future marriage later. Remember that for the second wife, she's okay, that joke. So he's going to marry her again. Can he make that stipulation now already? Second, right now, at this point, there's no prohibition on that. I don't know what that means, I mean, from this marriage, in this marriage right now, in the state that they're in now, that's not prohibited. Maybe yes, maybe that is something that happens, that he divorces her and he remarries her. So Tashima, come and listen to this. Hakol Shavin, quoting the Mishnah again. Hakol Shavin, Shleha Yamasni Malay Kedim Shetisar Shlayalacha Shetisgarish. Nistra Leechad Nitmes Vachach Yachsirena Leha Yamasna. Yachsirena Vitit Machinami Damastish Mamin. What the Mishnah said was that if in the interim, in between marriage 1 and marriage 2 to the same man, she has relations with someone else, since she's still permitted to go back to her to remarry her first husband, because she was never married to this other man, she only had relations with him, so she is permitted to go back. So we say that in that case, no, it's just because it was in between the marriage. They got divorced, and in between marriages, she lives with this other fellow. No, that's only if it's a young girl that's raped. Yeah. He doesn't have to marry a girl that he lives with. That's only if he was honest or if he forced her, and she was a virgin, and then he was obligated to pay a fine and marry her. Yeah, she was married once. And she lives with some guy in between marriages, probably to spite her ex. But then, so then he marries her back. We said that he's permitted to marry her back. So therefore, he can't warn her. He can't warn her not to do that, because she doesn't become a saita from that, because she's still saita is only if that relations would make her forbidden. The document. Yeah. Now, those are 3 options of how to make a marriage. Now, if the person says, I'm going to marry you with the ring, okay, here's the ring. I'm going to marry you with the document, okay, here's the document. He has another option, he can marry her with relation. Now, we don't do that. But if he would say that, that would be considered a marriage. But if he doesn't say that, if he says this is totally not a marriage, this is just
say that.
Yeah, he has to say Harayat Mekudeshesli B'Diyazu. He would have to make that statement. Okay, so based on that, since the relations in between the marriages does not affect their relationship, so therefore that's not part of the Saita warning, but the relations when she's actually married, even though it's not this marriage, it's the next marriage, that would affect their relationship, then he can make that stipulation now. That's the way the Gemara is answering. Tana Rabbanan, start in a brisa. Zeis Teira Sakanois. I have 3 opinions here. It says this is the law of the jealous one. I don't know if it's jealous or zealous. kanoi could be
Kanoi.
zealous and it could be
Fanatic.
jealous.
Fanatic.
Right. I guess it contains both in this. Malamed, but this teaches us because there's a plural there. Torah sakanais, the law of the jealous one. Malamed sheisha shoysa v'shayna, that a person can make his husband, that a man can make his wife, a husband can make his wife a saita twice. How? He tells her, "Don't be secluded with this man," and then she's secluded, so they go to the base of English and she drinks. Then later on, he sees again, he doesn't trust her, so he warns her again. So they go to the base of English a second time. He's a chronic saita. What is it? He's paranoid. Yeah. Let's see. So Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, there's got to be a psychological condition, for this. They come back as another time. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, Zeis, Sheini Yisa Shaisa V'Shein. Rabbi Yehuda says exactly the opposite. Plus it says Zeis, this means she cannot come back. She came once. This is a one-time, once in a lifetime. You don't come back as a saita a second time.
So covers that one instance of Sota covers all other
That could be
future-
part of it. It could be part of it, but he doesn't say specifically that. In other words, like that, there is a possibility that the husband can administer the oath that any other relation that you have is also. But let's say he doesn't do that. He can administer. There is such thing as gilgal, that you roll into the oath other things as well. But if he doesn't, other people, Amar Rabbi Yehuda supports his opinion. By Maisa, there was a story. This is in Tainus, I think. Nechunya, the one that dug the wells. He was the one that he made a deal with the Roman that he borrowed water from him, said he'll pay back a certain amount of money if he doesn't get him the rain back. He would supply water to all the pilgrims to the Oile Regel, and it didn't rain. So the guy says, "You owe me money." He says, "No, I still have time." And then it became dark. He says, "No, you don't have time. It's over now. You owe me money." So Hashem he davened and started to rain. And after it rained, the sun came out again. Something like that, to show that it was still, Hashem paid it back. Okay.
But the daughter fell in the well.
Oh, that was another. Then his daughter fell into a well, and they go to Rabbi Chanina ben Daisa. Who did they go to? I think Rabbi Chanina ben Daisa to daven for, and he said that she's fine. He said, "How did you know?" He says it can't be that if someone that was involved in a mitzvah would get hurt from the same mitzvah that he was involved. Okay. So there was a story with Nechunya Chayfer Sichen. Seems to be the opposite. That a woman can drink twice, but we only accepted his testimony b'shnei anashim. This is why Rabbi Yehuda supports his opinion. He says that was because it was two separate husbands. First time, the husband suspects his wife for committing adultery. And that's Ruvain, suspects Ruvena for committing adultery. Okay, then he divorces her, and she marries Shimon, and still Ruvena, and he now suspects her as well.
Oh.
And so then, but not with the same husband. So therefore, Rabbi Yehuda holds that one husband cannot bring her twice, but two husbands can. Yes, but the same woman. Yeah. This is called the Rabbanan Basroi. We had a Tanakama, we have Rabbi Yehuda, and then we have the Chachamim. It's called the later sages. The later sages say that they're even stricter than Rabbi Yehuda. I don't know what to call it stricter. They limit it that even with two husbands, a woman cannot drink twice. When she showed up once, that's it. The Tanakama Nami Haksiv Zeis. What does the Tanakama do with Zeis? Zeis means that it's singular, that she can only show up once. Rabbanan Basrei Nami Haksiv Tairas. And what do the Rabbanan and Basrei do with Tairas? it's a plural, and they say that it can only happen once. Amarava, so Rava explains the machlekes over here. If it's one husband with one wife, they never come back. Everyone agrees to that. Because it says this is, that's an exclusion, means it can only happen once. And we're on top of your test. If it's two husbands in, I didn't explain. What we said before, one husband, and I didn't mean, it wasn't supposed to be one husband, one wife. It was supposed to be one husband, one wife, one adulterer. He can never, she's not showing up again with the same, she suspects him with the same, he suspects her with the same fellow, milkman. Right? He doesn't, can't, that's, everyone agrees that's not happening a second time.
Same guy.
With the same guy.
But with a different guy, different man. Bread man.
Right. So then that, so far we didn't discuss that. But let's say it's two husbands with two different men. That means two different adulterers. Okay. They're not suspecting, Reuven and Shimon are not suspecting Reuvena with the same man. They're suspecting her with two different people. That over there, everyone agrees that she can drink twice. The ksiv tayras, because it's a plural. So keep ligi. Where do we have the machlekes here? That's bi'ish echad u'shnei bailim. It's one husband, but it's two different adulterers. Or another possibility, bishnei anashim, two husbands, u'bayal echad, but it's the same adulterer. So that's going to be a machlekes.
Can't say adultery because it hasn't been proven yet. So he used different words.
Same suspected adulterer.
He says paramour.
What is a
I
paramour?
don't know. That's a different word. Well, it's love, right?
A love.
Okay.
No, it's a paramour. It's not an amour.
Okay. What's the machlekes? Tanakama savar tayras. The Tanakama says that there's a plural word there. L'rabuya kule. That includes that both of those situations, she does show up twice. And that's the same woman is showing up twice. One is because even though it's the same marriage, but now he warned her about a different man, a different lover. Or it's two husbands, but it's the same lover. So that's an inclusion. In Zeis, so what does the word Zeis exclude? That's Lamuta Yesh Echad U'Bayal Echad. That's talking about the same husband with the same lover. That we're not going to repeat the Sota process. Rabbanan Basrei Sabri, the Chachamim say Zeis Lamuta Kula. Zeis, when it says Zeis, that's an exclusion. That's saying that she never shows up twice, even if it's two different husbands, if it's the same lover. And she doesn't show up twice if it's two different, if it's one husband with two different lovers. She doesn't show up twice. So Tayras, what's about the plural? That's that's coming to tell us if it's the same woman, but if it's two different husbands with two different men, that everyone agreed that she can repeat the Sota process. Rabbi Yehuda, what does Rabbi Yehuda hold? Zayis Lamuti Tarti and Teres Labuya Tarti. He says 2 cases it's possible to repeat, and there's 2 cases where she does not repeat. The 2 cases that she repeats are Teres Labuya Tarti. I'm sorry. First, it starts off with the 2 that she does not repeat. Zayis Lamuti Tarti. Which case does she not repeat? That's Yeshachar U'Bayal Echad. First of all, if it's the same husband with the same lover, or Yeshachar U'Shnei Bayalim, or if it's the same husband, 2 different lovers, she still does not come back. Basically, according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's the husband, the changing of husbands that would cause her to come back. Tayras says L'Rabuya Tarti, the inclusion where she does repeat and come back to the Sota process. That Shnei Anashim U'Bayal Echad, Shnei Anashim Shnei Bayal. Either it's either it's 2 husbands with the same lover, or 2 husbands with 2 different lovers. She would come back. Rashi explains that if it's the same husband, it doesn't matter if it's the same lover or the 2 different lovers. Doesn't matter. If it's one husband, then the way Rabbi Yehuda is learning the psukim is that it's more logical to say that this guy is just a paranoid person, and we're not going to repeat his, his paranoia. So, but if it's two different men, then that's more of a reason to say that maybe there is some truth to this. Two different husbands.
That's
Okay.
SSS. It's serial Sota suspect.
Right.
So, two different husbands.
Right. Okay, Ajalacha maybe. We start the third parak.
That's her. Okay.
We mentioned this Mishnah in passing when we were discussing when she drinks. I have to get a chumash. You want to get that chumash on the top? But like, yeah. Can you reach that? Got it. Okay. Where are we? Chapter 5, right? Yeah. Before we start this Mishnah, let me just tell you what it says over here.
Order.
The first time it mentions that she drinks the water is in verse 24. It says, "V'hishkas ishas me'amarim amarim l'vova mayim amarim l'marim." And it says that after he administers the oath. Then it says, verse 25, it says that the priest takes the meal offering and waves the meal offering, he brings it, he takes a fistful, he burns it on the altar. That's verse 26. And then it says, Ba'achar yashke seisha. And afterwards, he gives her to drink. We already have a contradiction. He gives it to drink beforehand, before the offering. Then we have Ba'achar yashke, he gives it to drink after the offering. Then it says, and he gives it to drink the water. Verse 27. V'hishke samayim. He causes her to drink the water. Okay. Well, let's take a look. The Mishnah. Who is the Haya? There's a discussion here, Rashi and Tosfos, if it's the husband or if it's the Kayan. He takes the mincha from a basket, the wicker basket, Egyptian wicker basket, and he puts it into a holy vessel, a service vessel. He puts it on a hand. And the Kayan puts his hands underneath her hands and he waves. Sounds like he's touching her hands. And Hinif behegish kamatz vehikter. They wave it, they bring it, he brings it close, he waves it, he brings it close to the altar, does the kamitza, and he offers it up. And the rest is eaten by the Kayanim. Okay, so there's only the kaimetz that's offered. The rest of the mincha is eaten by the Kayanim. He would have her drink, and then they would offer the mincha. Now the Mishnah looks a little bit out of order because it said first the way that they offer the mincha, and then it says he has her drink, and then they would offer the mincha. We'll see in the Gemara what the Gemara.
He eats, the Kohen eats the mincha?
The Kayanim can eat the remainder of the mincha.
Is that usual?
Not the yeah, that's usual. After the kaimetz, after the scoopful is offered up, the rest gets eaten by the Kayanim. Okay, so it says first she drinks, and then this is the Tanakama's view. First she drinks, and then they offer the mincha. Reb Shimon says, that first she brings the mincha, and then she drinks. The opposite. The offering was offered before the drinking. Shenemar says in the pasuk, and afterwards he has her drink. However, Reb Shimon adds in that if he had a drink before the carbon mincha, in other words, he agrees that the sages did the eved, in a after the fact case, he says that's kshera. That if she did drink first, it's still kosher. Mincha is still kosher. You don't have to redo the drinking or redo the mincha. That's Reb Shimon's view.
It's like the, oh, mitzvah is the meal offering?
Right. There's a question why mincha is called mincha. Why the afternoon prayer is called mincha. Mincha is a meal offering. Wasn't carbon mincha was not brought in the afternoon. It was brought any time in the day, in between the morning tamid and the afternoon. Why is our daily prayer called mincha? And that I think it has to do with an Aramaic word that has to do with sun setting, like tilting or something. Yeah, I saw this in the art scroll Onkelos, somewhere in Bereshis. I saw that there was an Aramaic word that sounded like mincha. It says, "Oh, this is the source of the Taisus Yom Tov." Yeah, if you want to stump your rabbi, ask him. Why is mincha called mincha? It sounds like such an obvious. Okay. Amalei Rabbi Lazar le Rabbi Yeshua Didare. Rabbi Lazar says to Rabbi Yeshua of his generation. That means that there was another Rabbi Yeshua that he was not talking to. It was Rabbi Yeshua of his generation that he's talking to. He says, don't sit down on your feet until you explain to me the following matter. How do you know that the Sota offering, the Sota meal offering, has to be waived? The Gemara says, Minalan. It says that you have to waive it. It says a pasuk that you're not supposed to ask a question when it's obvious. Didn't you read the text? It says no, but Minalan. How do you know that the owner of the offering, which means how do you know that she has to waive it? Maybe it's only the kohen that has to waive it. So, Asya Yad Yad Mishlamim. He's answered that we learn it from Gzeir Shava, from the peace offering. Peace offering also had the waving process, which was the breast and the leg chazav v'shayt of the peace offering was waved. It says over here. It says that the kohen takes from the hand of the woman, which is referring to the Sota offering. Ksiv Hasaman over there, it says by the Shlamim Yadav to Vienna, that his hands, he brings it, which means that he waves it. Makan Kayan Aflahalan Kayan. Just like over here, just like by the Sota, it's a Kayan. Also by the Shlamim, it's a Kayan. Amalahalan Bailam, just like by the Shlamim, it says it's the owners. Afkan Bailam. Also by the Sota, it has to be the owner, which means the woman. Okay, it says how does that done? If he puts his hands under the owner's hands and he waves it. By the Sota, I'm not sure if he puts his hands directly under her hands or if he puts it somewhere else on the bowl. Maybe the bowl was like came down, so he puts it under, means lower, but it's on the bowl, and not necessarily it's like holding her hands. Or maybe not, maybe he is holding her hands. It sounds odd that the Sota, this like suspected adulterer, comes in and the kohen holds her hand. Yeah, it's something sounds like off with that. Okay. Heinif, the Hegesh, Kamatz, the Chulu, Hayamashke, Va'achakach Makaves Menchasa. It says the order of how this was done, and it says that he would have her drink, and then he would offer the offering. Gemara says, Ha'akrava, the Mishnah is out of order. You already offered the offering. What are you saying? You would have her drink and then offer at least in the order of the Mishnah, the offering was already brought. And then it goes on to say that that she drinks and then does the offering afterwards. The Gemara explains like this. Hachikamar. This is what the Mishnah means. Seder menachos ketzad. How is the order of the offering? Heinef, they wave it. The Hegesh, he brings it close. Kamatz, he does the scoopful in his fingers. The hikter, and he offers that up on the altar. Bashanach lakayanim, and the rest is eaten. Ubashka gufa pligi Reb Shimon v'Rabbanan. However, regarding the drinking, that's a machlokes. That's the explanation for what the Mishnah just did. So what the Mishnah says is that the way the offering is brought, there's no machlekes. But where the drinking comes in, that is a machlekes. The Rabbanan Sabri, the Rabbanan hold mashkavach makras mincha, so that first she drinks and then she offers the mincha. Reb Shimon says makras mincha savach mashka. At first they offer the mincha, the meal offering, and then he has her drink. Shneimar v'achiyashke, afterwards he drinks. The Mishnah continues from Hishka in Reb Shimon's view that if she drank first, even though she wasn't supposed to, according to Reb Shimon, she's supposed to offer the meal offering first. But if she did drink first and then the meal offering, kshera, all of that is valid. Taner Rabbanan, on top of your Testament base, stored in the Brisa v'hishker. He has her drink. Probably the first time it says v'hishker. Ma Talmud Laimar. Right, this is verse 24. What is this coming to teach me? No, that can't be. This is verse 27. What's this coming to teach me? It says already in verse 24, it's coming to teach me that if the Megillah, if the scroll was already erased and she says, I'm not drinking, she refuses to drink, they force her to drink. That's what that second drinking is. And in this translation by Rabbi Chaim Miller, in his translation here, he says in verse 27, if she refuses to drink, he should make her drink the water by force unless she confesses guilt. So he really has the this is the Rashi or the Gemara like incorporated into the text. Someone wrote an article about Rabbi Meir Kahana's father. He translated a chumash called Torah Yeshara. I have it, and in there he also incorporates the commentary into the translation. He claims that the reason why the sages were against the translation of the Torah into Greek was considered such a sad day was because they didn't incorporate any commentary into it. Because the oral tradition has to be in. If you just have the dry translation, then
Same thing said also in English.
right. So anyway, he translates it similar to this, but they're incorporating the commentary into the translation. Some people would be against it because they say, like, I want to know what it says and I'll do the commentary on my own, just give me the translation of the text. Anyway, he doesn't just go for that.
The version of the Rebbe's commentary also.
There is a chumash, the brown chumash also does that. Yeah.
This is the Chaim Miller that writes the books.
Yeah. Yeah. What was that? Practical? Okay, but he translates that according to that. What does the second v'hishka mean? That if it's the Megillah has been erased, that we force her to drink. That's what it's coming to teach. That's the words of Rabbi Akiva. Reb Shimon says v'acher yashka ma talmud leimer. Reb Shimon takes the middle one. V'acher yashka is in verse 26. What is v'acher yashka coming to teach us? It already said in verse 24 that she drinks. Rather, what it means is that after the drinking is only done after the karban is brought, after the mincha is brought. That's Reb Shimon's view. Magid Gimel Dvarim Ma'akvin. This tells us that there are three things that affect the validity of the drinking. Number one, Ashlei Karva Kaimitz, that it's only supposed to be brought after the scoopful, the fistful is offered up. Number two, Bachlei Nimchag Megillah, it's supposed to be done after the Megillah is erased in it. And number three, Bachlei Tekabala Shvua, that she has to have already accepted on herself the oath, that's when she drinks. She doesn't drink before the oath. The Gemara goes through to explain these three things. Actually, Karavakaim, it's before the scoopful is offered. Reb Shimon Atameh, that's Reb Shimon's own view. Because he holds that the mincha is offered and then she drinks. Okay, number two, actually Nimcha Megillah. She doesn't drink before the scroll is erased in the water. Elamai mashkala, what are you expecting? What is she drinking? Just spring water. That's of course she doesn't drink until it's erased. It's coming to tell us that she can't drink from it until everything is erased from it, even if there's just a residual mark left, that also has to come off. See how he translates that. We're talking on verse 26. Then he should give the woman to drink the water. Doesn't add in parentheses after everything has been erased. He could have added that in if he wanted to incorporate the Gemara. Okay. Actually, to Kabbalah Shvua, Mishtahu Deleshasya Michtav Kasvila. Gemara says before she accepts on herself the oath, so she can't drink. Okay, fine. But do they even write it? They don't even write the Megillah until they don't even write the scroll until she accepts on herself the oath. Rava says that if they did write it before she accepted the oath, they have to rewrite it. Gemara says Kadinas, but you're right. When you gave a list of three things, you didn't actually need this third one. But once you're making a list, sometimes you throw in things into a list that really aren't necessary. But because that's the nature of lists, is that you want it to be a complete list. So you put that in, even though we could have understood that without that.
So you got a couple documents about what was written, right?
Yeah.
There's a question about whether it's 2 or 3 reports.
Right.
So is there a sulfur
Yeah.
on the standby waiting there, and after she does these other things, he sits down and writes?
He would sit down and write. It's similar to the get.
Yeah.
You know, they both show up in court, and he says, "I want to give her a get," and they say, "Okay, wait on the side," and then they start writing a get. It takes about 45 minutes for the cipher to write the get.
And he can't start until that.
Can't start until afterwards. So here he can't. The cipher can't start to write the parchment until after she gets the oath. They say wait on the side in this. I was by a get once in Australia, where the cipher put on some headphones. You know, he didn't want to be distracted because people are waiting. They're going to be schmoozing, and you know it's distracting. So they're just sitting there. So he puts on like big headphones.
But they don't do that here. They write the get separate, and then you go. Of course. You do that.
No, at the get, not the civil divorce.
Right.
At the get, when you say I want to give a get,
Right.
they say okay, wait, and the cipher starts writing.
Yeah, for you while you're there.
And while you're there, and then it takes 45 minutes, and afterwards it gives you the paper that you have to hand to. So okay, so they have to write it out then. It wasn't able to be written before. Was there a Mishnah that's in Yuma maybe where someone made a tablet of the parsha that needed to be written to make it easier on the scribe, that he shouldn't have to open a Sefer Torah and find it? This was just already there. He could just write it from the thing. Is in Yuma we had a Mishnah like that. Who was it that made that? It was they praised someone that did that. Ben Cotton? No, that was someone gets praised for making that convenient. Oh, Hillany? Oh, really?
Look it up.
Rabbi.
Yeah.
At my wedding, do you remember that you were there on the spot to write the ketubah?
That's right. That's right. It's supposed to be prepared.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. I forget what happened. Oh, I remember what happened. I remember they wrote something wrong in the date or something or in the name.
Yeah.
Well,
They used whiteout. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not supposed to use whiteout So-
They scratch off.
Oh, if it would be a parchment and letters, you could scratch it off. But if it's ink on paper, then you can't really do that. And even if you do, you have to write on the bottom. You have to write Beshura Mascheles, this and this, Yesh Tos V'Kosvo Alamechek or something, and then you have to sign again or something. You know.
I was at a customer. Some 70-year-old pocket knife, scraped off the date.
Oh, really?
It rained so hard they couldn't get outside for cook on the date they were supposed to.
Oh, no, yeah.
Night,
The only thing is, if I would get a
Yeah.
document,
Huh?
if I would get a document that had a date scratched out and something written on it, I would question the validity of that document. So I think when you do that, I think you have to write on the bottom by the signatures, you add in a line and you say, on this and this line, there's an erasure, and we've written over on top of it this and this.
Something put up on the wall.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be put on the wall. It would be
The marriage
the
didn't
same.
pass.
Don't blame it on the ksuba. Okay. Yeah. The Micah Miflagi. We're going back to discuss what is the machlekes over here between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shimon and the Tanakama. Okay. We have 3 verses. We have the Hishka Kama, the Achayashka, the Hishka Basra. Verse 24, verse 24 is the first Vihishka. Verse 26, and afterwards she drinks. And verse 27 is when she drinks. Now, in between the first and the second one, it says that they bring the sacrifice. Well, Rabbanan Savri, the Rabbanan hold that Vihishka Kama Legufai. The first one, before they bring the sacrifice, that's the main one. So that first she drinks, and then afterwards they bring the offering. Then afterwards she drinks. I'm sorry. It says after they bring the sacrifice, she drinks. What's that coming to tell me? That's coming to tell me that only after, it's not after the sacrifice, it's after everything is erased. That's when she drinks. Okay, but it's referring to before the sacrifice is brought. And then that later one in verse 27, they force her to drink that they, I don't know what the word ma'arna means, but a mashkanais about karcha, maybe it's like repetitive. They force her to drink. We had ma'arin before. Ma'arin meant like to contest. I mean, it also meant like to awaken. What did it mean when it said that the waters like ma'arin? I thought it meant like it reawakens, like to la'orer. Al-karcha means against your will. So ma'arin, you said
it's a lesson of Aruba Ada side.
Oh, like to raise it. It's a way of that would also mean to force. So it's a double expression of the force. Okay. Very good, Yeshakayach. Reb Shimon Savar, Reb Shimon holds Va'achar Yashka, afterwards she drinks, that's the main one. That's Legufai. And afterwards she drinks. First the offering and then she drinks. The Yishka Kama, why does it say she drinks before the whole story, before the offering? Shem Hishka V'achakach is coming to tell us the B'di'evet, that if it was beforehand, that if she drank before the offering, it's also good. The Yishka Basra, why does it say that she drinks at the end? That they force her to drink once the Megillah is erased. They force her to drink exactly like the Rabbanan held. For Rabbanan, what do the Rabbanan do with V'achayashke? Well, not what do the Rabbanan respond to Reb Shimon? The Rabbanan say that according to Reb Shimon, the first statement, the first mention of that she drinks is the b'diavad case. That if she drank before the meal offering, that's valid. Says the pasuk wouldn't have started with the b'diavad. The pasuk starts with the lechatchila. When is she supposed to drink? That's the Rabbanan's claim against Reb Shimon. The Savar Rabbi Akiva Mashkenais about Karcha. Rabbi Akiva holds that you force it to drink. But Tanya, we have a brisa. Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yehuda says kalbus. I think kalbus is like a fork. Kalbus shel barzel metil nechtechpia. That you would put this fork into her mouth. Shem nimcha kamegila. Rashi says it's something with 2 teeth. That that if the parchment was erased from Reina Shais and she says she doesn't want to drink, Maranais Mashkenais about Karcha. That they force her to drink. Amar Rabbi Akiva Klomana Tzrichem el Labaitka. Why would they force her to drink? We already have our answer. If she says she doesn't want to drink, why is she saying she doesn't want to drink? Because she's guilty. The whole drinking is just to tell us if she's innocent or guilty. She says, I'm not drinking. That means
Something happened.
This is a little weird. To assume that a woman who doesn't want to go through this ceremony is guilty.
right. Okay.
Doesn't want to go through.
We're gonna
it,
see
doesn't wanna
soon.
go through it.
We're going to see soon.
Yeah.
Ella, rather, he says, actually, Rabbi Kiva holds that he's allowed to once if the offering wasn't brought, she's allowed to retract. However, this is our answer. This is our answer. So, see, we have a question here. How could Rabbi Akiva say that we force her to drink? Rabbi Akiva says that we don't force her to drink. The Gemara answers. The answer is that before the sacrifice is offered, before the scoopful is offered, so then she can retract. But after it's offered, then she can't retract. The Gemara says all the time, Tikshilachi gufa. But that itself doesn't answer the question. Why can't she retract? According to Rabbi Akiva, if she says that she doesn't want to drink, I don't care when it is, but she's admitting to her guilt. The Gemara says like kasha. One is when she's retracting, she doesn't want to drink, that's because she's trembling. That means she's nervous. That doesn't mean she's guilty. Just because she's nervous. If she's healthy and she's like strong-willed, and she's saying, okay, fine, I'm not going to drink. That means basically she's admitting to her guilt. But if she's just nervous, maybe she's just like Naftali said, she doesn't want to go through the process. And this is what it means to say, if it's because of health, then she doesn't. You're right. Then she doesn't drink because she's admitting to her guilt. So we know already what the drinking is supposed to do. But if it's because of her nervousness, so then if it's before there was the scroll was erased because it was before the offering, then good. Or maybe it was erased, but they did it too early. Then then she can retract. But once the offering was offered and the Kainim erased the Megillah, then she's not allowed to retract. We're talking about when she's nervous. But if she would be
Force her mouth open.
force her mouth open, yeah. But this is only if she's not admitting to the guilt. She's just saying she doesn't want to drink. She's admitting to the guilt and she doesn't drink whenever it is. Okay, let's leave it over here.
Almost to the next.
Almost to the Mishnah.
Okay, before. Okay, this is, what I understand it's hearsay, but I'll take it. Reb Naftali's,
Oh my goodness.
this is your last official
You're so sweet of you.
Aventura
Thank you.
Day. So we have 2 things for you. This is a
Two.
big award. We've never done this before. You're gonna be
That's so nice.
the first member of the 530 Warriors Daf Yomi Hall
Oh,
of
my
Fame.
goodness.
Doesn't have Naftali Lowenstein. Oh, sorry, it's a sure. Yeah. He's moving to a new place. You could probably put that in your living room right now.
Absolutely.
And you're good.
Content.
Then here's a card.
Along with my trophy. which
Here's a
I
card
take.
from all of us.
Thank you so much.
Then
So sweet.
Naftali said that where he goes to a secret location, his compound, don't worry, he assembles some. That he wants to start like a shear,
Grant.
a branch. So this is all the ingredients you need for a successful shear. First thing you need, first shears are so proud of you. That's first thing you're going to need is you need students, right, or people to attend. So it's very helpful for the group to have like a comedian clown guy. Okay, that's one student. Doesn't need like a grumpy character, like a Dr. Stein character. Okay. Right? Yes.
He's clever.
Then you need lots of trophies to give to people. So we're giving you like a whole supply of trophies. You need good like hot beverages. So we're giving you starting out with coffee and cocoa mix and comes. And that should start you out, sir.
Wow.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody. What makes it feel so nice is it's a good group of people who come to this show. It's a nice group of people.
Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome aboard. We do look at the vehicle flight today, so we do ask that you place your luggage inside from the overhead bins. This will ensure on time departure and avoid checking it back, so we can leave in a timely manner. Again, please place luggages on the side and smaller items under your chair. And we are filling up here in the back, so if you need any
It's